Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I really appreciate you guys watching and subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out a lot to push these videos to a larger audience on YouTube. So thank you guys so much for that. In this video, let's talk about my honest thoughts on Bosnia, right? So let's start off with the sense of freedom that you have when you go to Bosnia, right? So when you're in Bosnia, you feel more relaxed, more calm, and the pace of life is much slower. Um, the rules aren't as strict as they are here in the US, even though you do have to abide by a certain set of rules in every country that you are on earth. And Bosnia is no different. But those who have been to Bosnia know exactly what I'm talking about. The sense of freedom you have is like night and day here. Um, you know, there really is no one, bothering you. No one bothers you here in the U.S. either, but I mean, it's there. People are really chill. People are really friendly, and people just go about their day. And when you pass by somebody on the street, they're always gonna say hi to you. They're not gonna, leave you hanging. So yeah, you're always gonna get greeted wherever you go, wherever you are, and obviously, all the people speak the same language, so that helps a lot while you're over there in Bosnia. So let's talk about the people over in Bosnia. In my experience, the people have always been friendly, kind, hospitable, and they're very caring for one another. They're very caring for the next man over. They're very caring for all people that is around them, right? That's why they have such a tight sense of community, and they're very close to one another. They care for each other. Uh, they really do try to take care of you while you're there, right? Especially when we come over from the states back to Bosnia on vacation, they really do welcome you, and they treat you really well, right? And always has been like that in my experience. My family has always treated me well, and they obviously love when I come. That goes without saying. But I'll give you guys a little story of when I was there. And actually, before I went in 2021, I believe it was 2021 or 2022. So there was flooding right before I came there, maybe like 10, 15 days before I came. There was a flooding in the town where I'm from. And obviously I went online and I researched a little bit to see what happened, and if there was anything bad happened. So um, thank God there wasn't. Nothing bad happened to anybody. But houses did get flooded, unfortunately, on lower ground as opposed to higher ground. But my point is that I saw pictures of people really going out there and helping to save people if they were in dire need, and they really went the extra mile to go, clean up uh, the aftermath of the flood. And that really right there showed me, like, hey man, they really do care for one another. Even though where I'm from, it's a small town, like they they're there for one another, essentially. There's no other way to put it. That's something I do love about that country, is that they look out for one another. Another little perk of when you're in Bosnia is you're obviously closer to European countries. It sounds a little silly to say, but that is one reason I'll throw in there, is that you can travel easier to other countries, as opposed to if you're in the States, you have to obviously get on a flight and go to a European country. Whereas in Bosnia, you drive, I don't know, 2.5 hours, you're in Serbia. You drive 3 hours, you're in Croatia, and then you drive another 3 hours in the opposite direction, you're at the beach in Croatia. Or you can go to Austria or Slovenia. They're all nearby, right? And that's one perk that I do love of when I'm over in Europe. Like, you can say you just go to another country while you're there, and that's what I did. I would always go from Bosnia to Serbia, or Bosnia to Croatia, down to the beaches in Croatia. Beautiful, beautiful beaches. I have to give them that. They have amazing beaches over in Croatia. And yeah, that's another thing that is a plus about being in Bosnia. So a culture shock for me when I was in Bosnia was the way people dress. People dress very conservatively. They dress like normal people do. But here in America, you'll see someone in broad daylight at 12 p.m. In the summertime wearing pajamas in the mall, pajama bottoms, pajama top, and it's like 90 degrees outside, which just blows my mind. Doesn't make sense. In Bosnia, I would say they're more closed minded, and they really do try to hold that tradition close to themselves, and they don't want that to get away. They don't want people to, dress differently or act differently. They want people to act like how everyone else acts. You could take that as a positive or negative, but that's another thing that I've noticed when I'm there is people dress the same. And oh, another thing is people like to get the same haircuts. In my in my experience of being in Boston, they like to get that like a fade on their haircut, which is a funny thing. A lot of people get that kind of haircut, but yeah, that's another thing about being in Boston. So one thing that I've experienced in Bosnia, obviously we talked about the people, right? How they're kind, they're hospitable, they're caring. On the other side of that, some people are wild. Some people are really outside the box in their personality and their characteristics. They are not as, let's call it, like domesticated as the people in the U.S. are. People in Bosnia are more careless, I would say, in the way they act, which can be good or bad. But like when you're more careless, you tend to do more dumb things. But when you meet those kind of people, you can have a real funny conversation with them. You might be able to learn something from those kind of people that are quote unquote wild. Wild in the sense that of their personality and characteristics, like I said, and not that they're bad people. It's just that that's their nature, I guess, in the country. Some people are that way, but I've also met people that are very stoic and very mature, very serious. And then I've met people on the opposite side of that where they're more let's call it immature, like I said, careless, and just they're just living life to the fullest, right? One thing that can definitely be problematic in Bosnia are the drivers. So the drivers are also very, man, they're very like extreme with their driving. They drive really fast on curvy roads, and they try to overtake cars in the last 2 3 seconds of being able to overtake a car, which is obviously dangerous. And again, that's the way they are over there, because the rules are a bit looser than here, for sure. For sure they are. Here, if you're driving careless and reckless like that, you're definitely going to get pulled over and get a ticket, and something else might happen. But over in Bosnia, as long as you don't get caught, you'll be fine, obviously. But I will say that the cops, they're always hiding and trying to get someone from either driving recklessly, or they're trying to prevent it, obviously, to keep other people safe. And there unfortunately are a lot of freak accidents that happen because of those reckless drivers and the way they allow those people to drive behind the wheel. And yeah, which is not a good thing. But again, there's good and bad people in the sense of driving. Obviously, there are good drivers, there are bad drivers, but yeah, that's what I've seen in Bosnia. One thing I really do love about Bosnia, and I try not to take for granted when I'm there, is the natural beauty and the outdoor activities, from stunning mountains to waterfalls to lakes to rivers. There is really, in my opinion, there's not a lot that comes close to the beauty of Bosnia on Earth, in terms of their outdoor beauty. You whenever you're driving around in Bosnia, you're always going to be surrounded by huge mountains, greenery. When you go down south to Bosnia, in Bosnia, you'll hit like Mostar. You're gonna go below Mostar, and you're gonna see more of a rocky type of mountains. And yeah, it's like you can't beat that kind of beauty and nature and scenery anywhere else on the planet, which is very hard. Someone comment below if you've seen anything more prestigious or beautiful than, like, the beauty in outdoors in Bosnia. So it's truly incredible when you go when you're there and you're driving, or you're just walking and you're in the background, you're looking at mountains, or you're seeing waterfalls, or you're seeing a beautiful lake right next to you. Those things are very hard to beat, and people really need to go and visit more to see what it's really all about. So let's talk about the beautiful old towns and architecture in Bosnia. So you have cities like Mostar, which has the old bridge, which is very famous. A lot of tourists come there more and more every year. And you have Sarajevo and Bashčašća, which is like the main area in Sarajevo where all tourists come. They get to see all different types of foods, try different types of foods. They can go to different various shops, buy souvenirs, buy jerseys, buy whatever you desire, really. And there's a lot of rich history and tradition there in Sarajevo Bashčašća. But yeah, there's a lot of architecture. There's a lot of, like old castles that, are still standing from hundreds of years ago, that I've seen with my own eyes, which is amazing. People really have to go check that out for themselves. And one thing I'll mention is obviously the politics. I don't really get into politics like that, but the politics are terrible in Bosnia. I believe there are like three different presidents. I'm not too sure. I'm not like too knowledgeable about that, but yeah, maybe someone can comment below and mention how the politics are in Bosnia. I know they're not great, which is why the unemployment rates are probably really high, and it's hard to get jobs. It's hard to make money. I understand that, but if there's a will, there's a way. I always say that if you want to make money, you can make money. You just have to find a way to do it. And I know people are going to comment, yes, it's hard. There's no jobs, this and that. But if you really want to, you can do it. Um, and that goes for anyone. That if you have the will, you can do it, right? So hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Obviously, there's a bunch more things that I can talk about, but we'll leave it at that. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope it brought some value to you. And if it did, please smash that like button. It would help me out a lot. And definitely subscribe to the channel if you are new here. It would really help me out a lot, and I would appreciate it. It gets this channel up to more viewers, which more people will see. And, that helps me out a lot. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.